Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca. What if we got Gilmore Girls star Chance Crawford to be Nightwing? Can you see that happening? This show discusses all the latest Marvel movies.
I think we know he's gonna bond the Adamantium back to Wolverine, which might get him to be the Horseman of War.
And the latest DC Comics. He's pitched that he wants to be this universe's Dick Grayson.
That's terrible. Like, I could do a better job probably.
With takes on the latest Star Wars adaptations.
Do you care if people don't like it? And the director was like, no, I don't really care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't like the show. I don't care about the Star Wars universe. And all I want to say is, why are we hiring somebody who doesn't care about what they're making?
And much, much more.
I think this is my favorite Final Fantasy.
Okay, I like to hear that.
It's just so well done and so good.
And whatnot. That is actually the opening scene of 1999.
That is
like,
amazing.
come on, right? Like,
for a new sci-fi movie, I've seen a lot of bad movies recently, and this one is not bad by any means.
join us every Friday on Screen Chat for a fun time, beautiful day. So make sure you go out, enjoy your F&F Fridays, already know the vibes. Some good laughs.
You were like, oh, you can't have Jensen Ackles because he's Soldier Boy, but you couldn't have Nightwing because he could be the Deep. Like, don't do this to me. Don't play this game.
And great hot takes all about pop culture. We have the one and only Sonic 06, the most underappreciated video game in human history. And I'll die on the hill. So we will see you guys then. Eldon, are you ready?
Justin, I think I'm ready. So, are you ready?
Oh, I'm definitely ready for this.
Okay.
Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca. I'm your host, Justin, and you know the vibes. It's 2025. Happy New Year to everyone that watches Screen Chat. We are so happy to be back. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Evan, behind the scenes today. Evan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, we are back. It is our, I guess, mid-season return, as this is episode 5 of season 2, as we officially dubbed it season 2, and then we kind of went away for a bit, but now we are back, better than ever. And yeah, we enjoyed a nice Christmas break. It was good to get like a nice little mental reset and take a break, but we did miss doing the show for you guys. So we are officially back to kick off the new year with a new episode of Screen Chat. So there has been a lot that's been going on in pop culture, I'd say, over the last month. We've seen some new trailers from DC with Superman. We saw the conclusion of Marvel's What If. Skeleton Crew from Star Wars was just wrapping up. Big Sonic movie 3. So there is a lot to talk about in pop culture. But there's one thing that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. And it's the topic of today's episode, which is Until Dawn. Dun, dun, dun. But now this is a video game that we've discussed in the past. But there's a lot to talk about today. But I do want to give just a quick shout out to this copy of Until Dawn. Got a PlayStation's Hits that is still sealed, which is like my unofficial holy grail as a video game fan, as this is one of my favorite games of all time. And it was only appropriate that I brought it in because we are going to be discussing the world of Until Dawn today, as there's been some news. I've realized now that I'm wearing a Canucks tarp, and Until Dawn takes place in, I think, Alberta. So I probably should have worn a Flames jersey, but it's okay. Everyone could allow me at home. So yeah, we're going to get into it because we do have stuff to talk about. But I do want to, before we actually dive into that, Evan, coming back to you. Obviously, everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Until Dawn. That goes without saying. What are your thoughts on the franchise as we enter 2025?
We were talking about this, and we were talking about these horror-based storytelling games. And the big one that I know of was The Quarry. Mm-hmm. And you were like, yo, man, you love The Quarry? You have to play Until Dawn. And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. I recently played it, I want to say like October, and it was phenomenal. It was so good, so enjoyable. It got to the point where it was just like, man, what do I do now? Like, you know, when you finish the series or you finish a game or a book or whatever, and you just kind of feel a little lost? Yeah, that was me. I was like, man, now what?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
I'm excited we're talking about this. Obviously, I know what we're talking about specifically when it comes to Until Dawn, and we've spoken about it in the past, but I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, cool. So, without further ado, we finally got some news about the Until Dawn movie. And it's definitely a big topic of discussion for myself and Evan. So I thought, you know what, as big as pop culture is booming right now, we do got to talk about the universe. So just give you guys a briefing of Until Dawn, the video game. So just to give you guys more of like another summary, as we've done in the past, it's a story-based horror game surrounded by a group of teenagers that go up to Alberta, and they go visit their friends, in a ski lodge on the year anniversary of their friend's disappearance, who is also the friend in question's pair of twin sisters. Now, this game takes a dark turn really fast, but they do have a lot of likable characters up there as well. It's kind of hard for me to choose who I like the most, but I think it's Mike, the dude on the left there. I think he's probably my favorite overall character.
I will say, at the beginning of this game, every character is unlikable. Extremely unlikable. Except for maybe Sam. Sam's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, honestly, I could agree. I could see that take, sorry. Yeah, it's a pretty good cast once you flesh out the game. To Evan's point, it is kind of, I guess, jarring at the start. However, yeah, pretty solid introduction. And they get terrorized essentially by this, I guess, like slasher, serial killer, as we see here. And it's like really creepy because it's like, dude, what is going on? Like, we were coming up to see our friends in Alberta, and instead a serial killer is coming after us. But then it gets dark really fast when it turns out that that's just a prank being played by Hannah and Beth's brother, Josh, the friends all in question. And it's really not about a slasher serial killer. It's actually about a group of Wendigo, and who are like, I guess maybe not supernatural creatures, but definitely something.
Definitely supernatural in nature.
Okay, yeah.
They're mythic creatures. I believe the Wendigo comes from. Eldon's gonna get mad at me later, but I believe they're from Gaelic myth. I think someone will fact check me on that. Yeah, they're definitely mythical monsters, and they are. Funny enough, when it's described to you, it said that on the mountain that they're staying at with the ski resort, it's not owned by anyone. It's not owned by a family or anything on it. It's owned by the Wendigo.
Ooh. So a bit of lore there. But yeah, the Wendigo turn out to be the real villains of the story. Shout out to Lex Luthor. And I feel like this really throws you for a loop because you're thinking you're trying to figure out who's trying to kill you. But the whole time, it's these like supernatural group of species that are coming at you. And the whole game is pretty much trying to survive. You have a ton of cool characters that you play as, but it doesn't all go right for them all. You know, it's not, honestly, I will say it's not a spoiler because the game is 10 years old now, which is wild. However, spoiler warning for Until Dawn. If you haven't played the game, I'm just going to do my due diligence, just click off the video. But yeah, so obviously the characters could die, unfortunately. If you don't do the proper decisions, you could be left with none of the characters as well. So the objective, like I said, is to just survive until dawn. And I think what's really cool is that at the end of each level, it goes down from like 10 to 9 and so on, and it goes like 8 hours until dawn, 7 hours until dawn. So I think the game does a really good job as, I guess, like keeping you hooked. It keeps you locked in. And like, I know people that have played this game all in one sitting. I finished it in about a week. Evan, I'm assuming it didn't take you long to play this game either.
No. And it's not because I'm particularly familiar with games. It's also like a pretty short story in terms of what it is. I think you can sink in maybe 5 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
If you really take your time and you really look for everything and all the collectibles, it might take you a little bit longer. Yeah, overall, it's not too long.
Yep. Pretty solid game, pretty solid playthrough. Backpacking off Evan's point there's a lot of lore, and that's one thing about this game that I really appreciate is that if you go to every corner and you look at every clue and you get every totem, once you do that all, you could actually see the underlying story that's being told, and it's almost like your characters are just the next victims of a vicious cycle. It gets revealed that the friends that you inadvertently think you kill, Hannah and Beth, at the beginning after a harmless prank, they actually turn into the Wendigo themselves, which is, again, like, spoiler warning. But I'm being very loose about the video game right now today because A, we have spoken about it before, but B, there's other news that I do want to that I do actually want to discuss. That's the big news of the day. So yeah, Until Dawn, great horror game. It still holds up 10 years later. Evan mentioned he just played it because there also was a remaster as well. So I'm sure you guys heard of that. If you watched Screen Chat, you probably saw our episode discussing that. And it's just overall really good game. And I think especially now during the winter time as well, it's the perfect time to play it. Us being in Canada, like we get the snow here. So when it snows, and you play Until Dawn and it's snowing as well, like it matches the vibes. The aesthetic is there. So overall, it's a really good game. I really like the cast. And honestly, yeah, if we actually take a look at the cast, I feel like the original casting here was just so well done. Rami Malek was Josh, and that's Hannah and Beth's older brother, I think, or younger brother, I forget.
Correct. He's an
Yeah.
older brother.
Yeah, he was so good as Freddie Mercury. I really like Brett Dalton as Mike or Michael. She's cut off there, but Hayden, I don't know how you say her last name.
Hayden Panettiere.
Yes, there you go. She's great as Sam in this game. Yeah, sorry that this is cut off. I forgot.
So
to say.
yeah, even though it's cut off, this is a stacked cast for the
Really
most part. The
stacked
two
cast.
notable ones are definitely Hayden Panettiere and Rami Malek. I can't tell you anything else that Brett Dalton's in, or Megan Martin, or Nicole Bloom. But those two were pretty good. And
Yep.
funny enough, the big driving force for me to play the Quarry was it also has a stacked cast.
And I think, like, just backpacking off that, when you play this game, well, whether it was like Evan, you played it a couple months ago, or like me when you played it back then when it came out, the cast still holds up. And I think that's why it gets such a good rep in the community, because, dude, like, to Evan's point, like, we got Rami Malek. Like, what else do we need? He's Freddie Mercury, Academy Award winning actor. And I think just his aura that he brings, it's like, oh, wow, we have someone like him. This game has to be serious. So I thought the casting was so good, and everyone had delivered a great performance. And I just think that that's why I really gravitate towards this game, because I'm a huge fan of movies, obviously, as you guys know. So it was like I was playing a movie. It was like I was playing a story. I made my own decisions, and the actors were great. So why are we talking about Until Dawn today? Well, it was announced. I mean, we've been known this, but we have more news on the Until Dawn movie. Now, when it first got leaked, it was supposed to be a TV series. It's kind of like The Last of Us, but now full-on horror movie. And I believe me and Evan, we thought it was going to be just a 1-for-1 based on the game. You know, where we're going to see a new adaptation of Josh, maybe Mike, see how Sam and Chris were, Emily as well, Matt. But we do have some new news about the movie, which is why we had to make some headlines. As per IGN, this is from their website, reading the title there, Until Dawn film adaptation features a new story and cast of characters. Get ready for Until Dawn like you've never seen it before. Off rip. That was kind of my reaction in the office with Evan. I saw this also on the weekend, and I was kind of upset, honestly. And like, you could tell the tone of my voice has really changed because I was so excited to talk about this. And then we get this. Before I give my little takes, we'll also go to the next slide, because this is where I kind of get intrigued with it, because like the title says there, the movie is going to be so full of fresh characters and victims in a brand new story loaded with twists. And the Until Dawn video game is like a love letter to horror movies, and I feel like the movie itself now is going to take a, I guess, page out of that book. It's going to be directed by David F. Sandberg. I just want to make sure I got his name right there. He directed a couple of the Annabelle movies and the Shazam movies, so that's an interesting dynamic there. I've seen all those 4 movies in particular. I have watched, and I enjoyed them. I'll call it that. But I do think that, for me at least, as a huge fan of the game, to hear that the movie is going to be like the same story with a different coat of paint, I don't know how to feel. I'm not negative. We haven't even seen a trailer, but filming is wrapped up reportedly. So Evan, coming to you, first thoughts and takes on this movie taking up a different story.
So when you first told me that this is going to have a different story, I was like, what's even the point? Why are we talking about this? So we're literally just taking a IP from a video game and turning it into your generic horror movie. Yeah. Because it's weird when you first start playing Until Dawn, even in the Quarry 2, it follows the same theming. It's your basic horror movie tropes, where, you know, a group of kids, they go to this location in the middle of nowhere, they start having a good time, and this, that, whatever, and then something weird happens, then they got to sort it out, and then some bad stuff happens, people start dying, blah blah blah.
Yeah, literally.
But now it's like it's like the life imitates art kind of situation, where we're now imitating life is imitating art, and then life is now art is imitating life, and it's just really backwards, because it's almost like reverse plagiarism in a weird way. Because like, if we're just taking the Until Dawn movie setting and putting it into a horror movie, we're literally just creating a horror movie.
Legit, yeah. There's nothing Until Dawn about that.
It's really odd, and it's no longer about the game.
Yeah.
which started it all.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where it gets really weird. I know you and we've also talked about what would make this movie acceptable in this setting. You can go ahead and you can explain that.
Yeah, so to Evan's point there, we were both kind of discussing, okay, how could this make sense? Well, right off the bat, if you've played the game, you know about the totems. And I think this is a key part of the game because each time you find a new totem, it tells you the future, I guess, of the good or the bad that's going to happen. More 9 times out of 10, it's usually the bad. So as wacky as it would be, I proposed to Evan, I'm like, what if the characters found the totems and it also did the same thing? It would be weird, but it's also a horror movie with Wendigo. There's nothing really normal about that. We also were saying too that if it could follow the same lore pattern, meaning like if you played Until Dawn, pretty much long and the short of it, these miners that were mining like coal and gold and stuff like that, they essentially found the Wendigo. And you find their journals in the forest and in the mine shafts. If you're able to like find that stuff, or if these characters are, okay, I could live with that. Because at least that's like them still taking the lore and it being, oh shoot, 50 years ago, all these miners were like killed and like bitten by the Wendigos and like there's journals. Okay, I can live with that. Like that's okay. But if it's going to be like a completely different kind of narrative and story that just says Until Dawn, then it's not Until Dawn. It's like, I don't know, Till Dusk. But yeah, Evan, what are some of the other ideas that you want to like see in this movie to be traditional for the game?
The only way that this works is if it's the same lodge.
Yes. Okay.
If it's the same lodge, the same mountain, and a similar story, so that they can go off and they can discover what happened to all those miners who discovered the Wendigo and all that good stuff. I think I just had this idea while you were talking as well with the totems. It'd be cool if they had in the game. There's 6 different totems. I believe in the remake there's now 7. There's one more. It's an additional one. It'd be neat if there was an additional totem that, instead of telling you the future or a different perspective, it recalled the past events of Until Dawn. And it's kind of like a warning of this has happened already. Don't let this happen again, like kind of situation. I think that would be the best way to handle this. And it's a good nod to the people who played the Until Dawn video game while still creating something that's new and interesting.
Okay. That's a great take. We actually have the same wavelength but different. So I'll elaborate on that. I will say that would be awesome because it would, to your point, it would modernize the franchise while still acknowledging the past. And it would be one of those ones where people like me and you that played the game, would be like, that's the thing, they did it. But then for us, it would kind of be like, sorry, I was just pointing to be like, they did it, that's the thing. I wasn't actually anything over there.
Oh, good.
Sorry, I did the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, and Evan went like this. I'm like, oh, my bad. But then other people too, like, they could appreciate it even if they haven't played the video games because it's like a new kind of franchise that they're hopefully trying to start. Now, I kind of had a similar idea to you. So I was envisioning this. What if at the end of this movie, like, we're going to do a knock on wood. I'm not wishing death upon the characters because we don't know the characters yet. But in the video game, you can get them all killed. What if everyone in this game dies and then it leads off to a family, 2 parents, 3 children that go and buy the loft? And what if that family turns out to be Hannah, Beth, and Josh and then their moms? That could be pretty cool too.
That would be pretty
so kind of like
too.
A reverse of what you said. Because at the end of the day, right, like, we didn't play this video game to be like, yes, I can't wait for the movie. We played it because it was a good video game. So for them to like now give us this game, it's like, ooh, or give us this movie, it's like, ooh, if it's not following the game, should I go and watch it? Now, I would say with modern video game movies, I'm going to use the Sonic and Mario an example. Super Mario Bros., they did a movie, and it wasn't based off of a game. It was kind of like obviously inspired by every Mario game that's ever been made. However, it wasn't discreetly like Super Mario Bros. Or Mario 64 or Galaxy, etc. But then with Sonic, we just got Sonic Movie 3, which is clearly based off Sonic Adventure 2. And like, it works because Sonic Adventure 2, you should go watch our Sonic tier list, is arguably the best Sonic game in the franchise. So of course, when you go 1 for 1 with that kind of game and you take that story and you put it on the big screen, it's going to work. So I think Until Dawn, it doesn't follow in the footsteps of let's just say The Last of Us, which follows the video game. But it might follow more of the Uncharted route, because I think the Uncharted movie, it wasn't really based off the first game. And I don't think a lot of people liked it, unfortunately.
No. I
didn't
played
get-
the Uncharted game.
Yeah.
I knew the Uncharted movie. I already wasn't happy with the casting
Mm-hmm.
because Mark Wahlberg. But also the storyline, it kind of like, I don't know what Sony's plan was, because there are elements of different areas of all 4 games in one movie. And I was like, okay, this, you could have had an opportunity to tell each story individually. You could have had 4 movies lined up and
Exactly.
literally just followed the games. And I think that would have been good enough.
Yep.
The only thing Sony did do correctly was they had Nolan North as a cameo in the game, and he voiced Nathan Drake in the original.
That's
So,
awesome. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's
That
sick.
I will give that one to them.
Yeah. And I think too, like just backpacking off that, when you have a franchise like Until Dawn, you don't need to have Until Dawn 2, Until Dawn 3, like you just need to make the one movie. And at the end of the day, I don't think they're building a franchise here, so you don't need to do a mass appeal. Just appeal to the people that played the video games, and they could tell their friends about it. You could watch the movie, and you could love it. I could see the conflict though, because you know what? At the end of the day, if they did the original story and Rami Malek was not coming back, I'd probably be upset. So it'd be one of those ones where it's like, ooh, I see what they're doing, maybe trying to avoid that, trying to avoid comparisons for the actors. You don't want to put them in situations where it's like, oh, he was a terrible Josh, or oh, he was a terrible Mike. And then even too, you don't want to tarnish the legacy, because what if someone's like, oh my God, she was so much better as Emily than the original? It's like, ooh, you know, this game that's been coming out for 10 years and now I'm getting like hate. So I could also see from that point of view, like analytically wise, why maybe they switched it up. But we do, only because we are talking about cast, we do have a photo of the current cast for the movie. And this is what we got so far. So most notably is Peter, I don't know how to say the last name. I'm not going to attempt.
Stormare.
Stormare. One thing about me, and I should be better with names because I did broadcasting, I suck at names. But he is playing Dr. Hill. And fun fact about him, he actually played Dr. Hill in the original game. So Evan, are you happy at least we got that cast coming back?
I am, because Dr. Hill in the game, he's a character that is in the game, but he's super important, but he's not really a part of the story. It's kind of weird to describe his role. So the fact that he's here again makes me think that, actually, no, I just thought of this now. His existence in this story means it has to take place either before or after the Until Dawn story in the video game.
Oh, yeah.
It has to.
Oh, wait. Yeah, wait. I didn't even think about that.
He has to, because if he's there, he knows Josh's story. He knows his case. Or this has
yet to
happened
meet.
before Josh's case, and this is why he's telling Josh, you need to be careful about what you're doing.
Oh, wow. Okay, we didn't even think about this.
I
till now.
didn't even think about that, because you mentioned this to me beforehand, but now I'm just like, wait, he's in this movie. It has to happen before or after. The events in this game have to be canon.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. This kind of turning a new leaf here.
So we might be onto something here
might
with a
just be.
before or after for this game. So
Yeah.
now the question is this a prequel or is this a sequel to the
sequel.
game of Until Dawn?
That's a good question. Now, I'm gonna come back to that because I do want to talk about some of these cast members before I go on a Dr. Hill rant, but that's gonna happen in about 5 minutes. Now, just going through the cast. So Peter Stormare, he was in Constantine. If you guys have seen Constantine, which is like a underrated movie, honestly. Obviously, he was in Until Dawn as Dr. Hill. And Evan, do you have any other films that he was in off the top of your head? I know he was in Fargo as well. Just have some of his discography here.
I'll be honest, I'm not too sure about any of these castings.
Okay, that's totally fair. I was gonna try and like pitch it and be like, "Yo, you watch Fargo," because like he was good in that. So okay, fair enough. I know also for Odessa, I don't want to like butcher it. Odessa Azon. She was in Hellraiser, which was a couple years ago. She also was in Grand Army and Farm. She's only 24, so yeah, she hasn't done a whole lot, but like it's all good. Maya Mitchell's another one there too. I'm actually not too familiar with Maya Mitchell, but she's been in a lot of stuff. She was actually in Teen Beach Movie 2 back in the day on Disney Channel, which I think is a crazy pull. She was in The Last Summer, which came out in 2019, and The Fosters, which is a TV series that ran between 2013 and 2018 that had over 100 episodes. So Maya Mitchell, she's done good for herself. Going down the ladder here, Michael Camino. I don't want to like butcher that. I think that's how you say his last name.
Good enough.
He was in a Netflix series, and I'm pulling it up now. It was called, I think the say here, yeah, it's Burning Questions. And I think a lot of people love that series. And it's actually a spin-off of Love, Victor, which was like the main one. And a lot of people liked Love, Victor. I don't know much about it, unfortunately.
So more importantly, he was actually in Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
So, and this director, he worked on the Annabelle movies.
Damn. Okay. That's a good pull. So maybe that's a good sign then for this casting. Going to Ella Rubin now. She actually was one of the first persons that did announce it. She was really excited on Instagram, and she was in Anora, also The Idea of You, which came out last year, which was pretty good. Masters of the Air, which was a TV series that also came out in 2024. She was also in the reboot of Gossip Girl. So she's done stuff recently too. So I'm actually really happy that that Ella Rubin's in here. Billions, have you seen that show, Evan?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, she's in Billions as well. So she's probably the most notable cast person in this. For Ji Young Yu, haven't seen any of these, but she was in Smoking Tigers, Moxie, and Expats. IBM has them listed here, so I'm gonna take their word for it over anyone else. For Belmont Cameli, he is best known for Along for the Ride and Saved by the Bell, which were the 2022 and 2020 adaptations respectively. And it actually is listed Until Dawn as what he's known for already. So I don't think he's done too much. And then William Vanderwerkt, he was in All You Need Is Me, which was a TV miniseries from 2018. And he was also in Project Blue Book. So a lot of these projects, unfortunately, I have not seen or dabbled into. So I just wanted to give each cast member a brief rundown on their filmographies based off of IBM. I don't necessarily know if it compares to Rami Malek, obviously, because he's an Academy Award winner for playing Freddie Mercury. That's kind of a big deal. But all jokes aside, going off of Evan's point, at least the director, David F. Sandberg, he got an actor that he's worked with before. So I don't hate that casting, because what expectations are you going to have if someone's going to come into it and do original characters for Until Dawn? I personally could not tell you who I would have casted to be in this movie, really and truly. I wouldn't have guessed the budget. I wouldn't have guessed the approach, the direct. So before we go back, though, to our point, because I do want to talk about the timeline again, it is confirmed that by IBM that the description of this movie is like the exact same thing as the game. So does that mean, are we going to get something similar to your point where it's like, are the Wendigo going to target and kill one of their friends, and it'd be the same thing where it's like, okay, it's like a vicious cycle? The same way I said earlier, it felt like our other characters were in the vicious cycle of the Wendigo. Maybe this is that same cycle. And to your point, maybe it is actually before, because of how frantic Dr. Hill was the second time around with Josh.
I agree. I think it's possible that is more likely the case, because from what I can tell, the Wendigo by the end of Until Dawn, there's a bunch of them. It's not just one.
Yeah, there's a ton.
It's very possible that these kids became those Wendigo.
Oh, see, now you're dropping lore. Like, I was thinking that too, not going to hold
That's
you.
a thought.
Yeah.
I came across as like, they were just a unfortunate tale of this is what happened and this is how they became the Wendigo.
Yeah.
They haven't revealed. That's a small cast list. It's not everybody, because you need others. Those are probably the main ones.
Yeah.
My other thought is, by the end, if you get the good ending with Josh at the end of Until Dawn, spoiler alert, that he becomes a Wendigo.
Oh, poor Josh.
So
you can never save Josh.
These guys could be hunted down by Josh's Wendigo.
See, that's good too, because then you're just backpacking off that. Canonically, that's the latest thing that's happened in Until Dawn, because that's after the game when that happens, right?
That is the most recent thing. So, you never played the remaster, did you?
No, I didn't, but like, it's okay.
Do you know about the additional ending?
Okay, Ross, I do know about that now,
so there
I'm not
is a kind of like cliffhanger ending where Sam's character wakes up in her bed at home, and there's like creaking in the house and things are happening, and it's almost like she's got PTSD from the Wendigo. Why they would showcase this, there's a lot more detail that I'm just not remembering at this moment, because I just remembered this.
Yeah.
but look it up. It's pretty spooky. I don't know if they're teasing.
I'm getting scared. Like literally, these are like raw emotions. Right
Yeah, I don't know if they're teasing
A sequel?
the sequel of an Until Dawn game,
Go on.
or
Don't do that to me.
this could be a lead up to this story.
I will
And
s-
Hayden Panettiere is just not listed as a cast member to avoid
Yeah.
this kind of story, because it could be her. She's quite a bit older now.
Oh my God, yeah, it could just
So
be.
she could be a parent at some point, and she could be like, "Oh, you went to this mountain? Mm-mm, don't do that."
The Banff gondola.
It's
Yeah,
possible.
literally.
There's also, at the end of the game for Until Dawn, they also have a moment where there's a lineup of all the surviving characters speking to the police about what happened.
Yeah. For me, that lineup of characters was one.
Yeah, my lineup of characters was 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna all of my Until Dawn experiences, I should say, just to find the right words. I'm gonna base them off of my first time playing, because you got to remember the movie. You're not gonna go see it again and it'd be different. So that being said, just based off my first time playing, you might only have one person survive. The same way in this movie, everyone might just die. So to Evan's point there, it'll be cool to see if they leave us with a cliffhanger, such as maybe a reference to the games, a reference to the past being the games, reference to Until Dawn 2, the movie, which is completely different. All I know is that I was getting some goosebumps there. Shout out to The Rock when he does this before he enters.
You're welcome.
Some
I'm
real
here for that.
goosebumps there. I will say that I put this in the notes, actually, this part of the discussion I wanted to call loves and disappointments after seeing, or before seeing the official trailer. And I think right now, I'm kind of in the neutral in terms of if I'm happy or if I'm upset. I would say it's kind of like, it goes back again to like the Mario Sonic comparison. If Super Mario Bros. The movie was called Super Mario Bros. Galaxy or Super Mario Galaxy, I know I'm going to go into it and I'm going to love it because that's my favorite Mario game. The same way when I go watch Sonic 3 and I know this is based off of SA2, I know I'm going to love it because it's like one of my favorite Sonic games ever. So when you take the risk of the gamble of where you actually just abolish that and you try something different, it's raw, it's risky, and it's high risk, high reward. I think their biggest like risk is that they're already fans that they have without even releasing the film might not like it. I think that's the biggest risk you play. It would be like if you did a God of War series and it wasn't based off of any of the 10 million video games that they have. It's like, ooh, okay, I'm down for Kratos, but like, what about God of War 1, 2, 3, Ascension, 2018, Ragnarok, and just all the spin-offs in between? It's like, when you have source material, use it. It's like with Marvel. It's like, as bad as it's been recently, some of the stuff, it just handcuffs. It's like, well, this is the source material. What do you want them to do, right? And I think when you see Until Dawn, I do really want people to go into it, especially guys like me and Evan who have actually played the game. I do want us to go into it with more of like no expectations and let's see what they give me versus, oh my God, yes, Mike is back. Let's go. Because he's not. Sam's not coming back. Josh is not well, at least what we know. But I do think that there's a lot of upside, but there is also a lot of downside. So that's my like initial thoughts after this news week. Where's your head at, would you say?
So if you asked me this question before we started this episode, I would have been like, I don't really care. Like, I'm not super hopeful. I was pretty bummed out by the articles, the fact that it's not going to be featuring the new Carrie. But now that we've sat here and we've done some theory crafting and we've done some really interesting epiphany moments, I'm actually pretty interested to see what they choose to do. Like you said, there's some inherent risks to doing a video game portrayal into a movie, especially if you're not following the main story.
Yeah.
There's some risks. There's also some benefits. So if you're not following the main story, then you're already getting people who played the game, and you're also getting exactly that. You're not getting the expectations of, I know what's happening. This isn't a good Mike. This isn't a good Sam. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think, just relaying off that quickly, I would say that this movie needs to gravitate. Like, that first trailer needs to be good in the sense of, like, don't give us no teaser. Don't give us a trailer that has the first 10 minutes. I'm asking for content, and I never ask for content on the trailer. Give the fans something to be scared for but excited for. That's all I want. I don't want them to come up short. That's the thing. This movie is years in the making. It's a 10-year-old franchise now, which is crazy. Like, I didn't think I'd be talking about Until Dawn 10 years after the film or after the game came out. And I just don't want them to come up short like a Penn State offense, okay? I don't want them to throw an interception like Drew Aller and lose the game to Notre Dame. I want them to just get to that championship finals and win. And I just think that that's like the biggest thing and the biggest risk right now. It's like, take the risk, but don't come up short. They got to put the ball in the end zone and take the championship. So that's pretty much my concluding thoughts there. Before we fully wrap it up, Evan, the $1 million question. Will you be seeing this movie in the theaters?
It really depends.
Okay.
It depends on what the trailer looks like.
Okay, that's totally
because I think that there's a couple rules this trailer has to follow. It needs to showcase the mountain, the lodge. There needs to be some semblance of a connection to the Wendigo, but they're not allowed to show the Wendigo.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Yeah, that would
They're
be
not
interesting.
allowed because both the parallels between the fun parts about playing the Quarry and Until Dawn is you don't know what the monster is. There's some things that you could be like, oh, there's some clues and some context clues, especially in the Quarry. It's a more well-known monster.
Yep.
But you cannot reveal the monster. You have to let it stay a secret and let your audience try and figure out what it is. Because those are the fun, in my opinion, those are the fun moments of Until Dawn and the Quarry, is trying to figure out what this thing actually is.
Yep, amen to that. I think for me, just to answer my own question, because I'm so invested, I will be seeing this virtually as soon as it comes out. I'm not a huge moviegoer these days. I only saw a handful of films in 2024. Off rip, I think this year I'm going to be seeing Until Dawn, Fantastic Four. Is there like a movie that I'm forgetting? Oh, Superman, yeah. But like that's really it. I don't think I'm gonna see Thunderbolts. I don't really have. Oh, and then I think Avatar comes out this year too. I think.
Yep, I think so.
So like that's about 4. Let's call it a total of 6 films. So I'll see a movie every other month, and I think Until Dawn is gonna fall into that category of movies for me. So I'll definitely be going to see it just because I'm so invested. And I really hope it's good. So that being said, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Evan, thank you again for teching behind the scenes. Cannot have done the episode without you. Thank you guys for watching. I'm just so happy to be back doing Screen Chat, really and truly. Good way to start off 2025. Be sure to tune in over the coming weeks. We definitely got some good episodes. Evan, one more thing.
More than likely, the next time we talk about this is probably when the trailer drops.
Yes, amen to that.
So it's definitely not going to be the last time that we're going to be talking about Until Dawn.
Oh, that was tough. That was hard. We got about, let's call it, 1 month Until Dawn trailer. Yeah, like I said, I really hope in the movie they name drop it, because like I said earlier, they always say 1 hour Until Dawn, so I hope that does happen. But yeah,
You're right. That needs to be in the movie as well, and it needs to be like 1 month until Dawn. That'd be really cool.
yeah, literally. So yeah, thank you guys so much once again. I'm just really happy to be back. Hope you guys are enjoying the start of the semester as well. I know the weather's not really been good, so I can't say enjoy your beautiful FNF Friday, but I can say enjoy your cold FNF Friday. It is not 9 to 5 degrees outside though. It's more like minus 15 degrees. So I'm gonna be chilly like Cole Palmer in it and stay inside this weekend. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was another episode of Screen Chat. I really enjoyed doing it for you guys. Same with Evan. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be sure to catch you next time live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.